A letter to Kirby Smart from a Georgia fan. Mr. Kirby Smart, I hope this letter finds you well. I'm a Georgia fan. Not any one fan in particular, just a Georgia fan in general. I have been my whole life. I was born into it. Halfway between Atlanta and Athens is where I dwell. I love the Bulldogs. Always have, always will. You know, over the past 4 years, I've wondered many times if you yourself, Kirby, are a Georgia fan. I understand you're from Montgomery, Alabama, but your alma mater is UGA. So I always wondered, you know, all those years you spent in Alabama, are you truly a UGA fan? But that's just silly thinking of me, right? Let's get on to the matter at hand. I get it. I know. There are many, many teams across the country who right at this very moment have fans wishing they could have 11-win seasons like Georgia does. Yes, I'm aware of that. I'm aware that since your arrival at UGA, you have a 47-13 record. How many teams can say they've won 47 games in the past 5 years? Not a ton. Very few. How many teams can say they've contended for an SEC championship the past 3 seasons straight and actually made it to the national championship game one of those seasons? Now we have really cut the field down. Not many of those teams have fans who can say that. How many of those fans of those teams can actually say that they played Alabama 3 times in the last 4 seasons and actually won half of every one of those games? An entire half of each one of those games beating Alabama. So now the margin is extremely slim, and the amount of fans of teams that are on the outside of this looking in is extremely enormous at this point. But here in fact lies the problem, Kirby. How many of those teams have recruited as well as UGA? How many of those teams have top 5 recruiting classes? Now, this is not a bad thing in itself. I love it that my team can go out and recruit with the best of them. Top 5 recruiting classes. That is amazing. That is something that you have brought to UGA. And we, the UGA fan base, are grateful for that. Thank you. But on the heels of that thank you, I must bring up that we have a quarterback issue at UGA. We watched Jake Fromm start over 5-star Jacob Eason as we went 11-1, won the SEC championship, and lost in the championship game to who? None other than Alabama. The next season, we watched Jake Fromm start over 5-star recruit Justin Fields as we went 11-1 and lost in the SEC championship to who? None other than Alabama. And then we had no other option but Jake Fromm as we went 11-1 and lost in the SEC championship. Not to Alabama this time, but LSU. Jake Fromm goes off to the NFL. We start to celebrate as UGA fans. We see a ray of hope coming through. We can possibly rectify our mistake of losing Justin Fields, of losing Jacob Eason. We have Jamie Newman coming in. Then we have JT Daniels. Oh my God, we're in 5-star heaven. Carson Beck is here. These are all great quarterbacks to be. Not so fast. Now, I understand Jamie Newman opts out for whatever reason, and he's gone. Okay, plenty talent on the bench right now. JT Daniels obviously is not cleared. Is he? DeJuan Mathis just didn't work out in the first game of the season. So who is our savior at this point? A walk-on JUCO quarterback. Now, I understand that loyalty is loyalty, and you appear to really value that aspect. Stetson Bennett may be just the friendliest, hardest working, just full of moxie guy on the entire team. But for the same reason that me being 6'1" is not going to make it in the NBA, Stetson Bennett will not win UGA a national championship. On the heels of yet another loss to Alabama due to not having the quarterback firepower needed to win a game against Alabama, I must ask you, Kirby, are you sure there is no other option? Because Ohio State right now tells us there was another option from Jake Fromm. So are you sure right now Stetson Bennett is the way to go? Does Stetson Bennett really give us the best option to win a national championship? Because I, the UGA fan, can't take the heartbreak of this again. I can't take meeting Alabama in the SEC championship or the national championship, watch us come out to a lead and then blow it in the second half because the defense is getting gassed, because the offense can't stay on the field, because we don't have a quarterback who can sustain an offense to go toe-to-toe with the likes of an Alabama. I will calm down. Here's my fear. Some of my worst nightmares at this time is me waking up in the 2021 season and realizing Carson Beck has transferred. JT Daniels has transferred. Brock Vandergriff is riding the bench, and our starter is still Stetson Bennett. Or even worse, Muschamp. Imagine that. Because these seem like things that you, Kirby, would do to us. Your track record suggests that that is a possibility. That Mr. Muschamp's son could be our starting quarterback next season over 5-star options left and right that are headed out the door. Having watched Stetson Bennett blow the last game to Alabama, I look at the AJC to see the headline, Kirby Smart says, I feel great about Stetson Bennett's performance. Well, that makes you and probably the parents of Stetson Bennett the only ones who can say that in the entire fandom of UGA. And Kirby, I hate that this sounds like I am bashing Stetson Bennett. I think the kid is probably a phenomenal person. He's probably the friendliest dude, the most caring guy, the most lovable son, but he will not win a national championship. He will not even win an SEC championship. That is how I feel. That is how the UGA fan feels. That is reality, Kirby Smart. And we cannot take this anymore. This is getting to a ridiculous level. We as Georgia fans are brought up the ladder all season just to be dropped off the other side. And of course, we would all feel better about it if there was no other option. But this entire time, there has been other options. Better, let me repeat that, better options sitting on the bench, watching the lesser option lose the big one. I understand that you are football genius and I am just UGA fan. I am just Joe Public over here, Joe UGA fan public. But there are other football geniuses out there who all agree you made the wrong decision over and over and over again. And now you are directly in the midst of doing it again. How are we to believe that you won't do it again next season? And again next season? And again next season? Think about this, Kirby. You may believe at this point in time, with a record that you have, you are not able to be replaced. But the fact remains that wins and losses are all that matters in this. And your record is almost identical to Mark Richt. And I can't help but believe that Mark Richt, with the recruiting classes that you have had, would have actually won a national title and would not be playing a lesser option at quarterback over 5-star elite recruits. In summation, Kirby, all we ask is that you do not let us down again, because this seems to be a pattern. It seems to be a pattern. You are eventually going to lose us if you keep going with the lesser option. We will not stand behind you forever, knowing that there's a way out and you refuse to take it. Kirby, for all of our sake, I wish you much success on the rest of the season. Best regards, UGA fan.